is this what's just happened? I know personally that the way I'm wired is really not to be a candidate for burnout. I don't know if any of you have been in burnout, but I don't tend to be that way wired. But when we arrived back in South Africa, we arrived back into Cape Town to just consider something that was being offered to us, and found ourselves making decisions that we were like, I don't even know why we're making these decisions, but we knew that we were following God prompts, but we didn't fully understand, and we were like, next thing we found ourselves in a place where nothing was familiar to us. We weren't working for the same church anymore. We had really gracefully and beautifully resigned, and we didn't fully understand it, other than we knew we needed to step out because something new was coming. And it does make sense now when we look back. But we were living in a city where, Cape Town's awesome. It's our home country, but it wasn't our home space. Durban was. And so we had some friends, but really not a lot, because we were only there for 8 months, and we had left all of our strong friendships. And our children were in a foreign school, and all of their friends weren't around. It's tough on our children. And we just everything was so different. There was nothing that was the same on which to feel like I could just put my feet and be like, this is familiar right now. And honestly, I would say that I went through a period of burnout. Came back to Durban, and again, we were just like, what, God? What? We do know we've heard from you, but we just are not seeing the direction. Have you ever done a walk in the Berg where you've walked, you're going to Sleeping Beauty caves or something, and you cannot see them, and you're walking, and you actually just don't know where you're going? And I'm the kind of person who I want to see where I'm going, because that's the thing that keeps me going. But sometimes, and I feel like in this last season, I'm not just speaking for myself, God has taken his people through almost like a wilderness where it's like, walk and trust me. Just trust me, and you will see. You will turn the corner, and you will see the destination in its time. But you got to trust me. It's been like an Abraham season, And so there we were, and honestly, somewhere in amongst it all, and in amongst the burnout, Bevan says to me, I feel like we need to plant a church. I'm all, you plant a church? I don't want to plant a church. I have got no energy for planting another church right now. But we did. And I feel like as we're doing it, there's the Mexican dream. There I was, doing something, and honestly, just didn't feel like myself at all while we were doing it. And then COVID hits. Interesting, and again, this is where God is so kind in his fatherness, in his parenting of us. I don't think fatherness is a word, but And again, back in Australia, before we even left, we had these moments of speaking into our journey that sustained and held us, and God will do the same for you in your journey, because he cares, and he is a father this way. And so look up and look to him if ever you find yourself feeling like you can't see, or you're walking in the dark a little bit. I had this moment where this woman came up to us. I'm so off my notes right now, it's not even funny. But this woman came up to me after I had just preached one of my last messages in Hillsong Church in Australia. And there were people we were praying for afterwards, and she was just gently waiting to the side, and I noticed her because I didn't know her, and she just had these stunning eyes, and you know how eyes can just be like, you keep getting drawn to that person. And when we finished praying, I walked up to her and I said, hi, do I know you? And she said, no, you don't, but I came here for you today. I'm like, oh my goodness, how nice. And then again, I'm trying to, because now I'm a pastor, and we know we're handing on, and the church knows, and so I want to make sure that she's going to be connected to someone, because I can't actually care for her. And so I want to introduce her to people, and so I'm saying to her, I'm trying to find out about her, and she's just quite dismissive of it, and she's like, no, I came here to tell you that I'm going to be getting a book to you, and you need to read that book. And I'm all, okay. I'm thinking, we're downsizing, don't give me more huh? But she was so adamant about this, and I'm all, okay, lovely, I'm going to read that book. I do read books. And so she didn't give it to me at that time, but she said, if I can't, I'm going to even give you my personal copy if I can't get you a new one. So I'm all, oh my goodness, so kind, thank you. Can I not connect you to something? No, off she goes. I don't see her again. And then on one of our last Sundays, it's a lot of handover stuff going on for us at that time, I see her again, and she's just come to check to see whether I've read the book, because that book did turn up on our doorstep. And I'm all, oh my goodness, hi, I haven't read that book. But thank you for reminding me. And again, it was this urgency that I needed to read this book. And let me tell you, both times that I had this conversation with this woman, no one else saw her. I'm all, did you guys not see that woman? Because she's amazing. And I'm all, no one. I'm explaining what she was wearing. I'm explaining and they're all like, no, we didn't meet her. Oh, well, tell her if she ever comes again, Anyway, I'm like, is she an angel? Because I read that book. It's called Hind's Feet in High Places. And that book explains this journey. If you've never read it, I would say go and read it. But I cannot tell you how specific this journey was, to the point that it's an allegory, and this little animal in the book, which I'm like, oh, that was me, leaves its home and goes so far away and climbs slowly to get to these high places and navigates all this different stuff, and then has this massive downslide that's like, why, God, did you take me to almost where it felt like we were meant to be, to just downslide? But then it starts to move up, and then gets held in the cleft of the rock while this freak storm comes past, COVID, and just has to hide. And then God comes and it does this like work on this little animal's heart, and then realizes, oh, I'm in my high places, and it's looking directly over the very town that it grew up in and had left. And when I find ourselves building our house at the moment, we look over the farm I grew up on that I left as a child. And we were asked very randomly, and again, such specific prophecy into this is actually what's going to come at you. And I remember thinking, you're kidding me, that is so specific, and we are waiting for something very specific here. And if it doesn't happen, we are messed, actually. But we got asked to step into and adopt a building and a people who were meeting in a space that they called themselves Olive Tree North Coast. And it turns out that the very building that they used to gather as that church is the building I grew up going to church in. And my grandfather built the walls, and he built the kids' church rooms. And I'm looking over the very place at which I left as a little girl and moved away. And I'm God, you are so intentional. And there's a story that he's unpacking right now, and we need to be so attentive because he is doing something. You get to go into those spaces and take the word of God that you have fed on in this space, but take it out there. You need to allow it to become strong, and therefore you are strong enough. And then you start to bring people in, and the church grows, not only in number, but it grows in strength, in core strength. And I actually feel like that's what God's doing in the world right now. It's like, okay, show me who I'm working with. Let's just see who we're working with. Because the thing is, I think what COVID showed us a little bit is we can live in a generation right now where we can live on sugar. If we're talking about just feeding, all right, in a spiritual sense, it's so easy to look and see over there, oh, that looks really good. I'll just listen in there. Oh, that looks really good over there, and I'll just take a bit of that. And then that looks good. You know what I mean? Like, that's what children do. When we hop here and we hop there, and that looks good there, but we're actually not part of a house that's going to give us the whole menu in good portion and size, we can find that we're just sugar high and then a low, sugar high and then a low, sugar high. Do you know what I mean? Because we're just catching what we want from the word, but the word's more than that. It is deep and sometimes strong and sometimes stuff that we don't want to hear. But God is doing a new thing. He He has shaken. We have seen some crazy stuff. It does not mean that he has not been with his church, or that he has left his throne, or that the plan has changed and the church is no longer the strategy by which the world is going to be reached. It just means he is doing a new thing.